There we go. Alright, 150, no teams, normal. What do you want? What do you think? Calm difficulty, hard or normal?
Let's start normal.
Alrighty, 3 races, intermission, 1 minute's a lot. Oh, I guess we'll do 1 minute.
That's the only option.
Oh wait, no, there we go. Now we don't have to worry about it. Okay. Boom. Hopefully everything's working. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I know we've talked about it via chat, and we both were pretty whelmed initially. Do you still feel whelmed?
Time is right. Yeah. It's a nice piece
Piece of tech. I like the Switch too. It's a nice piece of tech. It feels good in the hands, right?
Yeah.
We feels nice and beefy. The screen is
significantly bigger.
bigger, like
Worse than I
expected for this compared to the first one.
And yeah, I can't tell if I'm happy. I feel happier than I did that first week.
Mhm.
But I don't know if that's just because I got an upgraded version of the Switch, or if the Switch 2 is actually good. I don't know. I kind of been going back and forth on that.
I think
Purely from is this thing better than what we had before? Yes.
Yeah.
functionally
It is very, like I said, the build is quality. The question of, would I suggest somebody go and plop $450+ on one? The answer is no.
Yeah, I think I had
I mean that
yeah, go ahead.
I mean that with no cynicism or frustration. Just purely from a like, how much fun am I going to have with this thing with just Mario Kart out there? And
I get my use
it's out of it, but I'm also
feeling the old Supreme type stuff.
so I'm already the kind of person who's going to drop change on this.
Same. And what? Oh no, I'm sorry. Oh no, that wasn't you. Never mind. What kills me is like I didn't get the bundle because they were out by the time I was able to get a reservation for it. So between getting the game separately, which is what, $80, right?
Yeah.
And then $104 if you count tax for another set of Joy-Cons. That's almost $700 for one game, the system, and an extra controller, basically. Which
Right.
is outrageous, even for how much better it is than the Switch One.
There's just that was part of what
Made the 450 or 500 cup to swallow is, you're talking about 7 years ago. The Switch One was a pretty novel, exciting thing, and they sold it at $3.
Throw a banana at me, you asshole.
Yep.
You had that coming, but the it's just tough when you have that comparison, and we're accustomed to tech always going down in cost over time, and so we've been spoiled a little bit in that way. When you see that, Meta changes their Oculus Quest prices to go up in price from original sale price. Sony, I know, had increased their costs out of the U.S., but yeah. But then even beyond that, game prices spiking up from
60 to 70,
and now we're seeing a peak around the corner at 80. Do we think that GTA doesn't go for the 80 price?
I bet GTA is $100. I'm calling it now. I really do.
Okay. Well,
We're going that far, huh?
I think they got the balls, and they know that people are gonna buy it, and it's been much hype. I think it's what's gonna happen.
They can get away with it, right? The
The fan base
is the pump is primed and everybody's champing at the bit. Oh, of course it's Blue Shell.
everybody's champion at the bit.
For that game, at least that I know. It's not my series. If I was gonna do a Rockstar, I'd want to do Red Dead. But
that's the kind of thing that I don't know. I get confused about. We're gonna side tangent on GTA, but outside of one person in our little like podcasting group, no one. I don't feel like anyone else really has a desire for it.
Yeah.
And I know we're not like the market, but I don't think I haven't bought a GTA since San Andreas, and when it was on Game Pass, I wasn't compelled to get it, and then like, I don't know, the way the game even plays, I don't feel like they're very fun to play, like on a straight up just gameplay. I'm talking not story or anything, but
it's clunky.
yeah, it's very clunky, and it's been clunky, and they haven't changed that.
Yeah,
it feels like a PlayStation 2 game still.
Yes.
But not like a good PlayStation 2 game.
Yep.
You know, like GTA PlayStation 2, where I don't understand how anybody completed any mission in that game and that involved extended shooting. And I don't want to learn that now. The last GTA I bought was Vice City. San Andreas was the one my neighbor got and showed me how you could get a haircut and get buff or get fat in it. I went, that's cool. Moved on. And then I got 5 because Heartwood was angling to find people to play online. And
the line sucks. It's miserable.
It feels cobbled together and janky, kind of like Roblox is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's
100% on that, and like, unless you're willing to drop hundreds and hundreds of dollars, you don't really get a lot of great things in there, or do like insane amount of grinding, like a full-time job type grinding. It's not. I don't know. I just don't get it. Maybe I'm just old. I don't know.
The true fun I found in the online was they've got, I think, certain races that you can go run around, and people would set up even like airplane races, helicopter races and such. So it got very silly, very dumb quickly, but it's a fleeting thing, kind of like running around and upping the wanted level, right?
Yeah. That's all we ever used to do. We'd each see how long you could last with 5 stars and then pass your controller over. That was the most fun I ever had playing those games. It wasn't necessarily the story was so gripping that I needed to keep doing it.
Oh yeah,
that was spend a night at a friend's house and just wanting to cause mayhem, like any good teenager who had a PlayStation.
It's one of those things where I do feel a little old man at Cloud complaining about, but I also at the same time think I might be a little bit right in my confusion and anger for it. Oh God, Michelle. No.
Got him. Man, man.
Yeah,
It becomes one of those things where it's a first world problem thing, right? It's these are the little things that I'm complaining about. Most
system launches, there's not too much
to play. I mean, the Switch was lucky in that they had Breath of the Wild, though that was technically a Wii U game, if I remember right.
Right.
That
Yeah.
just the Switch was a port.
Which is crazy because until you said that just now, I just kind of forgot that's how that was. Because we're playing, my son and I are playing through the Switch 2 upgrade of that, and just been having a blast. We just did Tears, and we're doing it kind of backwards, so now we're doing Breath of the Wild.
Oh boy, how
was that transition?
For him, it was like kind of realizing how much they do improve as games grow. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't do this, I can't do this. Like, oh, like, he loves the Zelda Notes thing from Tears of the Kingdom, where you can, download all the people's creations and use them.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like, kind of losing the whole building a tablet part of it. I've been first on so many of these and always lose on the last four. But no, because when you realize you can get those upgrades for free if you pay for the expansion stuff,
Yeah.
that is a blast because they look better, they play smoother, and not paying $20 for each of them is great.
So I've dumped about an hour and some change into Breath of the Wild. But between those two, that's my preferred game. But yeah, it looks great. Feels nice and buttery smooth. I actually had a weird disorientation around it because my brain is just used to the sort of fuzzier look of it on Switch 1,
Yep.
the slowdown and the delay and artifacting and stuff.
No!
It's just, yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, I made it.
But
Sorry.
so I had a weird thing where it felt off playing it first, you know. That's a me thing, but it kind of reminds me of when I was younger. I would walk through a Sears when Sears still existed to their TV displays, and there was one time they were showing, I think it was the first Transformers on. I remember feeling like this just feels wrong, and it had something to do with the HD-ness. I'm not sure if it's a frame rate thing or what exactly, but it felt wrong, right? Just
Right.
not. It's unnatural, which is funny to say about a game, but
No, I honestly, I don't remember if I mentioned it in our little, podcasting chat, but I had to quit playing Oblivion because of, like, pretty much that same exact reason. There's something that feels off about it being a graphical upgrade, but yet it's the same. I don't know how to describe it, but it feels almost uncanny valley of, like,
Yeah.
this looks enough like the nostalgia of Oblivion. And, like, Oblivion is one of those games that I can remember how much it blew me away. Like, I have all this freedom, all this things I can do. I can, build my character this way. And, like, having that, but have it feel... It's like a weird light's been shined on it.
oh, you mean like you can start seeing the seams of
Kinda,
things?
yeah. And it's like seeing a movie that wasn't supposed to be in HD and HD kind of thing, and also the scaling feels very off on it.
Right. Yeah. No,
That is a problem. It's kind of like, watch like an old Cary Grant movie and it's weirdly smooth and it flows a lot different than it should.
Yeah, it just bums me out, like, because I was looking so forward, and I even, for another channel I work on, was going to play through it for, like, long form videos, and, like, I couldn't do it. I honestly, and I hate to be part of the problem, I was like, I'll kind of want to go back to Skyrim.
Well, over the years, Skyrim doesn't look all that different. It's nicer and shinier and can run nice and smooth, but functionally, visually, it's pretty close to the original thing, right?
It is, but because I guess it's been remastered and, like, I haven't played longer. Like, I hadn't played Oblivion since early high school, maybe. I can't remember when it came out. Maybe a little bit before that. Because I think Skyrim came out when I was in college or late high school. I don't remember which.
that sounds like
The right timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember it was one of the first midnight releases I went to by myself. I went with a buddy. It doesn't sound that sad, but I mean, without my parents. I remember it being like one of the first ones, and being one of those like early goons who, when the really cute girl at GameStop told me I should buy the player's guide that was like $40. I did, even though I didn't need it.
You know,
That might have been true, but I bet that's in their closet somewhere.
Oh, I still have it. I have the poster up in my basement. Actually, I could see it over there, and I still have that book because I like to randomly try to relearn the Dragon Tongue words they have in the back.
I got
A stack of old EGMs, Electronic Gaming Monthlies, somewhere in my parents' house.
I used to love reading those so much.
It was just a different
Era of news media, wasn't it?
Those and buying player guides, like, cause remember players guides used to come out before games.
That's right. Yeah.
I used to get Pokemon and like the Digimon game when it came out, like before, and I would just whenever we had car rides and grew up in a small town where it's 30 minutes to get to any store, so just sit back there and read those players guides and learn all about the game.
I was always a cheapskate. And it reflected in how far I could get in a lot of those games, because when you're 12 or 13, some of that stuff to feel really inscrutable, right?
I remember not being able to not knowing you had to jump into paintings on Mario 64, so I think the first while I had that game, I just ran around and jumped around in the castle and outside.
Yeah. What am I supposed
to do here? None of the doors are open.
At
the store. That's different, though. That was the first time that 3D was happening, so everything was a tectonic shift, right?
Right.
Going from Mario World to Mario 64 sort of blew your mind. You go to Electronics Boutique, and they've got a kiosk for the Nintendo 64, and it's The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and you're thinking to yourself, man, this feels like a huge world I get to explore. It's amazing how can anything look more real than this? And you go into that game now,
It's
like a postage stamp. Like it feels very small now.
I still, if I can get my kids into it, I want them to play it. I actually want to find the GameCube version of it. Do you remember like it being on? Was it?
So there was
GameCube. So that's the reason I got a GameCube, because for a brief stint they had it where it came with a disc with both the NES ones and both the Nintendo 64 ones.
Yes,
I believe.
Yeah. So that was my
excuse for getting one back then.
What's weird about those systems too is I don't know how. Like I sold my entire collection when I had my kids because medical bills when you have 3 kids are a lot. So that's what I did, and I've been collecting again as they've gotten into it because it's something we can all kind of do together.
Yeah.
But I have, and I'm not shitting you, 4 Wiis now. I'm not sure how I got that many, and 3 GameCubes.
4 Wiis and 3 GameCubes.
And I don't think I've bought any of them. I think it's a lot of people being like, hey, we're cleaning out our garage or our attic, and we know you like video games. You want this? And me always being like, sure. And I can't remember if I have one or not.
I mean, that's the best kind of gets, right? When it's like nobody wants this. It has value to me, though. So
yeah, and it's nice to know that people like this and know I like things.
Right. But now it's
get wrecked.
Your profile has Bowser on it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I kept on targeting Bowser when I'm throwing stuff, thinking it was you, and I just realized you are not Bowser. You are. It's not Pauline, is it?
No, I am Thirst Trap Daisy.
Got it. Okay. Fair enough. But yeah, I mean,
everything feels so small by comparison now. I mean, it doesn't help the comparison is Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
The size of those 2 games too. Speaking of that, like I didn't realize how big a difference there kind of is in that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and man, I love Breath of
The Wild. It might be my favorite Zelda.
I agree for definitely playing them. I think I get less overwhelmed by Breath of the Wild. Like Tears of the Kingdom, my son had to do a majority of it playing because I would get overwhelmed with. It's not just a big map, but you're going vertical, right? And then on top of that, you're building all these different things and solving these puzzles. I'm like, nope, that's too many variables. I don't want to deal with it. Here, son, help me figure out how to do this. And then, you just let him kind of take over and do the hard parts for me.
Right. No,
Those games are overwhelming.
Yep.
I wish the app stuff was available for when that first came out, because I was never good at building these things, these contraptions they want you to make.
Right.
And oof. But
it's an important piece of it.
So you can kind of cobble your way together with it, but it's not intuitive. And then you see a bunch of videos online of people making these contraptions, these multi-layered devices, including things like trapping chickens and burning them alive inside of it. And I wish I had that kind of creativity and time where I could invest in doing all that. But yeah, that's why Breath of the Wild is my preferred one. It's dumbed down. The tools are simplified, and the focus is just the survival, right? And there's something really gratifying about climbing a mountain in that game.
I'm with you on all that. But if it comes to if I'm watching someone play it, I prefer Tears of the Kingdom. I had the parts I didn't play, and my son kind of took over pretty much the second half of the game. I had so much fun with that and the story and all that. That being said, I really don't know what's going on in those games most of the time. Still, but I have a good time.
For what it's worth,
Breath of the Wild story is basically, look, we already lost. We just need to pick up the pieces now.
Oh, I snuck in.
Final four.
I was at fifth, and I hit him with the little air horn right at the last second. Got fourth, so I can keep going.
When I
Play online, and there's been a few times I've gotten a bullet bill and snuck right in past somebody at the end. And I've got a slight twinge of, oh man, you must be so angry.
It's a good twinge, though. It's good knowing that you don't have to be the one feeling angry.
Right.
Just cut through the grass. What the hell? Okay, well, I lost. Gosh darn it. We were talking about struggling with the creativity of those builds and stuff, and for me, when I would try to build these things, it reminded me of when Homer built Bart's boxcar derby thing. And
yeah.
Just, the two cardboards, the paper plates or whatever for wheels.
Yeah, I think.
So I learned how to make a very cheapo kind of fan bike thing.
Sort of default thing out there. But yeah, my
creativity was usually limited to thing you find on the ground plus 4 wheels and a handle. Maybe a couple boosters for fun. But
also,
I never got to the point where those things weren't scarce.
Right.
So that thing
could really go for a you buy this garage and you can just feed whatever currency that you put into the things to get the Zonai parts
and just choose instead of everything.
Gosh, I'm having flashbacks to all this, including having to find the different gacha pawn machines in the different parts of the world to find the right pieces. And that's what brought me down to that game being closer to a 7 out of 10 compare. It's all the little things, right?
Right.
It's yes, I know you've recontextualized the world by changing some of the landscape and having the airborne stuff and the dark deep stuff, but ultimately it's the same world in a way that they couldn't quite make it distinctive enough. The raising and going between land and I forget what the power is called, but where like you can teleport up and down through stuff.
Yeah.
That was less disorienting than I thought. So that was what's nice about that, but that wasn't so much of a problem. But it really, I feel like part of what was great about Breath of the Wild was its restrictions. Like, even as you get all the cool tools and toys in that game, you are still being oppressed by everything in the world.
Yes.
And this one felt, Tears of the Kingdom felt too loosey-goosey, right? It's still a lot of the same world restrictions, but there was so many different toys and things you could do to interact with the world, where part of why people love it is that it turns into a playground. Well, that's part of why I didn't love about it. I wasn't necessarily looking for a playground.
It's like Minecraft when you turn on cheats. It's what it feels like.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
You're not losing your inventory. You can spawn in the materials you need, but technically you're still playing the game, kind of deal. That's kind of the feel that it is. That's why I do agree. I like. I love games where, like you said, you're kind of struggling the whole time, and you're everything you build, it makes you better, but the world grows with you, so it doesn't feel like you ever get OP'd.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. I don't think I got anywhere close to that same feeling in Tears, but it's really pretty.
Yeah. Oh, it looks great, and you know the thing I'll give the Switch too is that the upgrade has me curious enough in my head where I had a few moments of, well, should I have sold or traded that in? I mean, the answer is still yes, I should have, but it's one of those like, well, if I see it somewhere for $20 someday, maybe I'll pick it back up and see with the additional features and such, if that would make it a lot more engaging for me, you know.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Is that you? Are you still baby Luigi?
Yes. I didn't toss around it.
The what?
The baby meta of the game.
No, I didn't know that was
the meta. What's the baby meta?
Babies and Bowser are basically your best characters right now, if you competitive.
I gotcha.
No, I choose baby Luigi because he's small and painfully cutesy, and I figured it'd bother people if they got beaten by a baby.
Yeah, I hate baby characters. They've been always my least favorite. So, yes, it would bother me if you beat me with him tremendously.
Yep. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Sometimes the joy is just, inflicting a little pain on other people.
You're more of a troll than you let on. I know this.
I do constrain it to video games for the most part, to be fair.
I mean, it's a healthy outlet for trolling, is tongue-in-cheek in video games.
That reminds me, we need to find more time for Helldivers.
Yeah, it's good again.
I've got some pent-up orbital stripes, so.
And they have like different variants of things to fight now, which is also nice.
Is that right?
I don't remember the background, but they hinted at a third one, like the whole run we had of the ones who kind of controlled the termites or whatever the bugs were.
Yeah.
Or the ones that made the automatons. I can't remember. But those ones invaded Earth, I think, is like the most recent story. And what was cool about it is the players are supposed to lose Super Earth, but China, all the players in China refused to let it fall. It just had a campaign going where no one slept and wouldn't let Super Earth fall.
Man, that kind of dedication is respect-worthy and frightening
I love it though. Like if you're gonna do something weird and fun, like that's a good way to channel that energy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's sort of what brought it front of mind to me. Actually, is reading about that story. It reminds me of I have a friend who played EVE Online. Do you know much about that game?
I know by the time I heard about it, it was dead. That's as much as I know about it.
Is that right?
Because it went off pretty quick, didn't it? Or am I thinking of a different game?
You might be thinking of a different.
Game, and that is a wall.
Is it Evolution
But
I'm thinking of? I think I'm thinking of Evolution.
Yeah.
EVE Online is a huge MMO RPG.
I'm definitely thinking of a
It's
different game.
It's basically
space encounters, like, but it's gosh,
Oh,
it's
with
hard
the
to
ships
describe.
and
It's
stuff. Yeah, I know. I watched
Yeah, like-
Down the Rabbit Hole video about that. And like,
yeah.
the crazy money people spend on that game.
there's a whole like lore to everything, but the lore, I mean, player lore, not even game lore. You can find stories of people pulling off multi-layered heists on each other's organizations because they're basically all corporations, right? But by corporations, it's basically small nation states with pirate outlets and stuff like that. So it's all very Wild Westy when it comes to it. And there are stories talking about how there are betrayals in their own ranks, and things will happen in that game, and it has a real world economy that can be tanked and affected by what the players do. So much of the interesting stuff in that is this late game stuff where they coordinate and execute these kind of attacks and strategery, but it's also the stuff that you'll never get a chance to play, right? So it's fun to listen to from afar, but
I'll have to send you that video because the story of like the biggest battle in the history of the game is what I watched, and it's pretty interesting. The guy who does that documentary series is really, really good, and he's done a lot of video game ones actually.
What's the series?
What's that?
What's the series name?
Down the Rabbit Hole is the series. I can't remember the YouTuber's name off the top of my head. He also did Dwarf Fortress and the story of its most famous, like, because people used to pass around that game, like the save files.
Mm-hmm.
You played Dwarf Fortress, right?
I have not.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna send you a bunch of things after we're done here because I think you would really, really enjoy learning about that game.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll take that.
I never get used to these waters. Like I've every time I hit water, I struggle with the jump boosts.
I
Right.
cannot time them. I just spam the button and hope I get them. But I don't know if that's slowing me down or not, which probably is. Suck it. Oh, how did you recover like that?
No.
First, which means I'll probably get third by the end of this.
I played the first week it came out because Tetrabit Gaming had a stream. I went to play on it, and then my buddy D-Pad Gamer also did one, and he made a really good point. The items for the last 4 don't adjust to like affect those 4 people, and it keeps it like it normally would when these are called kind of the vanilla items, and it makes the last 4 not as exciting as it could be.
Oh.
Well, boy, I hope I can buck that trend because I fumbled a lot. Okay, I hadn't really paid that much attention. Truth be told, I've been playing mostly online for Knockout Tour, and that is cutthroat. Like, people commit violence on Mario Kart Knockout Tour online, and
So I'm lucky when I
get to fourth place.
Can you use the chat to chat with the people that are in those knockouts? Or have you
I don't know.
I don't know if I want to try.
Yeah, I figure there's
But,
probably just a lot of slurs being thrown around.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really hard.
Harken back to old Xbox 360 days.
I always
Yeah,
hear
sure.
people say you couldn't survive in those lobbies back in the day, and my point is always, why would you want to?
Yeah, definitely.
It's not really a badge of honor. It's
Not unless you're
Reformed gamer. I think most of those people, it's terminal.
we'll do one more knockout, and then maybe switch it up, just because I want to do Rainbow Road with you.
I love the Rainbow Road.
In this game.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That'd be my
Favorite one.
I still think Mario 64 is my favorite.
only if you're playing it.
On the 64, though.
Yes, correct.
I don't like
What they did with it on Mario Kart 8.
Nope, they neutered it. The 64 version is like just like ever feeling. It feels bigger all the other maps, and like it felt more epic. And then learning the little jump at the beginning to cut the course and be able to execute that was always a great feeling.
Oh yeah,
I something I've come to realize is that with the Mario peer games, we're losing out on the ability to break things.
Yep, I miss that.
part of
What was great about stuff like that was you'd find spaces in the game where you could really just break the game design, the game's intention for you to be able to skip ahead. And maybe we just like breaking things. Maybe that's what we're coming to learn. But everything feels too squeaky clean for me to differentiate anymore.
and I'm sure there
There are ample videos showing how I'm wrong. But the point is that it was more obvious when you broke the game in Mario 64 because when you jump behind a wall, there's nothing.
Right.
It seems where the end of the level happens in a lot of these spaces in this game.
I think the breaking 2 for some games can lead to the longevity of it. It's like what you just said even with Mario 64, like the fact that that game can be broken so many ways is why it's a speedrun, like the speedrunning game.
Yeah.
And why it's it's fun to mod and all that. Like I do nowadays, you probably can't do anything like Nintendo would come to your house and beat you down. But
put on your Switch.
thankfully,
And
broke.
don't go
On the resale market for this stuff.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's going to like
It's going to be full of
Modders who bricked their Switch 2s
Yep.
and are trying to recoup some cost. It's going to be ugly for a while.
And yeah, since that's a market you can't really regulate, people are just going to get screwed.
Yeah, and
It's also something where, Nintendo's probably going to take a stance of let the buyer beware on that kind of stuff, because it's not really their what they do about that is lousy with how they freeze out the Switch 2 and brick it, but I think it's technically within their rights, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
but
And
still,
Nintendo is kind of Disney-fying themselves a little bit in a way that's unsavory.
Yep. It's been really rough, and I still suck the lean on the teeth of it. Like,
I mean that in the nicest way possible, Kelly.
Yeah.
But no, they have the thing where they've captured multi-generations by now with their stuff, and so families are kind of captured if they're in that ecosystem, right?
Yep.
And then we're at a point now where our starting game experiences are becoming reference points just as much as an entity as of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, becoming a reference point. And you think about this game, like think about how many awesome soundtrack choices there are that are just remixes of old stuff. That's good, right?
Yeah.
Or when you get the big mushroom here, and when you run over people, it's the sound from Super Mario World when you're stomping on a Koopa with Yoshi. Like the people in the series, and much like Ultimate, Smash Brothers Ultimate, like that, there's a reverence and love for themselves.
Right.
I mean, which is good. That's who Nintendo wants to work for them. But I don't know. We're in this weird spot right now where our childhood niche interests are mainstream, and it's just a strange experience. Oh, come on.
You shooting shells at me back there?
No. I was panicking until I realized it was up to 16th place.
Yep. It's a long lap. Oh, I think I'm in a weird spot with this game where, like, playing with my kids and my partner, like, that's been a lot of fun. I've had a blast doing that. But at the same time, when I've tried to play on my own and all that, like, they're outside of Rainbow Road, and maybe there's been one or two other maps that I can't really pull off my head. None of it feels super memorable because the tracks are so wide, and they're all more like street racing where it's not an actual track, where I don't feel the atmosphere, the aura, as the kids say. Like, it feels more like, I don't know, it feels more like a kid playing with toys in their imagination. Like, you know, everything's way too big, spread out, and I don't know.
No, I think the only way I would try to explain it is that its biggest selling point for this game might be its biggest problem.
Yes.
You know, the big, if we just, I'm not talking about the world, overworld, but even just the track layout. It is neat that Grand Prix can basically just be a long, winding series of raceways. Conceptually, that's cool. In practice, it makes it a little tougher to do things like start remembering where key shortcut points are on a map, or let's say where the grind rails are.
Right.
I have rarely latched onto a grind rail, and you know, for somebody who has nobody to play this game with at home, I've put a lot of hours into this game. Mostly in the online with the round we're doing now, because now the name's escaping me. But it's everything's a little bit too non-repetitive. That makes it harder to really gain a lay of the land well.
Yep. I feel the same way. Like when we've been picking maps, I look at the pictures and like, I really don't know if I play this one or not.
And it's not even like they're bad maps. They're good raceways, you know, broadly. I take a little umbrage with the width of a lot of the laneways. It feels like somebody was a little too cautious about when it came to accounting for all the extra new people
you don't like how
on the track.
Yeah,
that's the big problem. Yeah, but the big issue is that they widen it so much that it creates no tension in a lot of spaces. It'll be an 8-lane highway, and you're dodging and navigating around the traffic more than the actual other racers, and it's
That example is
one where I'm sure that was intentional. I just don't like the choice.
Yep.
But even right now where we're at, right? This is an absurdly wide space. They're trying to account for it with some speed track pads. It's still it makes things feel slow.
It does.
That's the last thing you want to feel.
And at times it can feel lonely, almost. Like,
yeah.
there's not, like, knockout. I think that's why I've gravitated towards the knockout tour so much, is that there's always a sense of something might happen, and if it does, you could be screwed. Like, I still have very vivid memory of Mario 64, Warrior Stadium, right? The dirt tracks and the crowd being on top of you, and like it just feeling loud, and the jumps, and like one jump goes over the another part of the track, so you're seeing all the people that are either behind you, or if you're on the bottom, you see people ahead of you, and it gave you a real sense that, oh, this is really intense. Like, outside of the Rainbow Road, again, haven't really felt that in a race, and it sucks. I miss it. I miss it so much. Our baby park.
Yeah.
We used to literally at my buddy's house, like, because we didn't go out or we didn't get invited to parties. Like, all we would do is, I want to beat Yoshi. Yes. We would go set on Baby Park and just play Baby Park over and over and over and over again, because you're on top of each other and just blasting shells and all that the whole time. It was so much fun, and there's nothing like that here. They don't have anything scaled down.
I was talking with somebody, and what they sort of described in their eyes was everybody plays Mario Kart differently.
That makes sense.
So like him personally, he likes the races well enough, but battle mode is really where it's at for him. And so if he's playing by himself, he's doing nothing but that. I did the Grand Prix enough to get golds on all of them. I haven't touched it since, which is not usually something I would say for Mario Kart.
And I think
what we talked about is the blame, the too wide of tracks, the lack of tension, and push and pull. I was talking about Knockout Tour. Well, there's a real franticness and sense of urgency in practically every second, with it being not only how many people on the track, but also it being elimination style.
Yep.
And it keeps on pressing you to have to be aggressive, which makes it really thrilling, right? And I just don't get that from normal Grand Prix right now. With the track layout, the Knockout Tour sort of forces the urgency a little more.
Yeah, and what I struggle with when it comes to this stuff, and with movies too, is remembering that things aren't for me anymore. These movies, these games, content, it's not made for me anymore. I'm aging out of the people they want to target. And that's a whole other can of worms that I have to deal with on the middle side of it. But I wonder if if we, I guess because we both feel very similar, if we're, how far off we are from the pulse of how everyone else feels about it, or if it's more people of our age, I guess is the only way to really put it, that feel this way. It's like, my kids haven't had any of the same complaints that we have had. How do I do Rainbow Road? I don't understand. Oh, okay, here we go. Oh, I don't understand this map. Oh, here it is. Hooray!
There we go. All right. No, that's
crossed my mind a few times, and especially with the launch day sales of the Switch 2.
Yeah, being absolutely insane.
You expect it to
sell out. You know, that's practically always what happens. Um,
The thing I saw.
was that it was at least the best-selling Nintendo console at launch. So
This is somewhat
Hey.
on topic. How do
Yeah.
you feel about the DK redesign?
I'm good with it.
I hate it. I
Yeah.
absolutely despise it a lot.
Okay.
I am I would say
Yeah.
my second favorite game on the Super Nintendo was Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm hardcore Rare when it comes to the design of him and Diddy. I love Rare was pretty much the best for the longest time.
Yeah.
And I do the shorts for EM Swizzle, his podcast, The Mario Matter. Not to plug another podcast, but and he's younger, younger than me, probably about 10-ish years. And he was just, we were talking, via Discord, and I was like, oh man, isn't this so awful? He's like, no, I really have always hated his design. I think this makes a lot more sense. I love this redesign. I'm like, well, you're wrong because you're younger than me. I'm right about this. So that was one of those times where I was like, oh, I'm wrong. I'm just old, and I don't like that things are changing. I think the pulse is most people are either okay with it or love it.
yeah, I kind of took it. I mean, I think the movie kind of primed the pump a little bit, right? Seth Rogen looked more like that than he did
DK64.
Right.
So I wasn't terribly
surprised about it by that way. I will say you're not alone. I have seen several people have a disconcerting experience with that. But we're at a new inflection point for Nintendo. I mean, Mario's different. The voice of Mario's gone, and
Peach now too.
I saw that as well. And
they're doing it really
you can even
shittily,
see.
by the way, of how they're getting rid of all these people.
Oh, this game came out. And I'm not in it. Oh, yeah. But
things like that, it just feels like you're going out of your way to be the villain. It's like, why? You don't have to be shitty.
well.
I agree, and it's probably also a marker of how
This is how it's been
treated as a lot more transactional anymore, rather than
building a close relationship.
relationship
Right.
from an employee standpoint. So, which is weird because there's a lot of games where the person acting the performance is a big part of why that character is important to people. Laugh at his performance. Oh, come on. Blue shell right there. That was terrible. Some people might laugh, but David Hayter doing Solid Snake. Yeah,
Yeah, no, you're right.
A lot of people struggled with Kiefer Sutherland taking on the role, even if there was a claimed context behind it, right? And it's because that long you've had that same actor. They've taken that character through a big journey with an emotional conclusion, and then you're gonna spot weld someone else into this thing that's been running on that long.
It's a sad
state of affairs for that, but I think that's sort of where things have been heading. So
I hate that. I don't know what hate, but you ever people that are famous actors or in this context, the big voice actors, and Troy Baker voices everybody.
Yeah.
But for me, one of my people shit on the story, and I think it's just, I don't know. I think it's more of a people love to hate kind of deal, but I love Dying Light. I actually thought even though the story's simple, it's really effective, and his vocal performance as that character, like, tells a lot of the story, like a lot of subtlety in like the character and how he develops than the actual story does. And so just like, I know these games are different. Mario games are not typically like you. I guess the voice acting technically doesn't matter as much, but I don't know. I still think it should, and people care.
Hey, it was a voice of our childhood.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's hard to disassociate that when he's been an enduring voice for the character for decades.
And did nothing wrong. It wasn't like they found out he murdered a bunch of babies or something. You know?
It goes back to these companies not wanting the individual artists or actors or directors to make a personal brand off it almost. I mean, going back to Metal Gear Solid stuff, Hideo Kojima, you know, there's a whole story there about how him and Konami had a falling out. They basically like silenced him for a handful of time before he was able to jump back out there. So,
which is weird, like, and that's just comes out of greed. It wouldn't let me go back to pick Rainbow Road again. I'm sorry, I messed up. Yeah, we got it anyway. Because you still make money. Like, I think it's just people pinching pennies at that point. Like, it just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
cynically, at some point he wouldn't be able to do the voice well enough, and I suppose this is a way for him to have his swan song on his way out. It seems like he's going to be doing the tour circuits forever now, probably, because he'll always have an audience to come see him. I mean, it's nice in that way. And, you know, if I was going to be generous, I'd say, well, maybe he's been ready to retire for a while and has been hanging on, right? I don't know the details behind
I'm pretty sure
the exit,
said, like,
so.
I'm fine, I want to keep doing this.
that's unfortunate.
then I think it is.
Doing like the voice in certain aspects too.
Say I heard it was they won't let you record his voice
That might be
saying things,
yeah.
something like that.
Which even then, like, why? Like, how much money are you losing there? Like, if it, you just be a prick.
That's Nintendo.
Oh, Disney-fying themselves. You know, that's the dark aspect of that. but no, it's I think it is probably, as much as anything else, just a way of cutting that generational break, right?
Yeah.
That Mario is going to probably be a character now where they might not even have one enduring actor do it. Maybe they'll situationally choose people to play Mario depending on what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because, like, we're in a weird spot for just, like, jobs and society, but, like, I want people to be able to hold on to things, like, and income and not have to worry about losing it. So, like, that freaks me out in that way, and not necessarily, like, it could be a different voice every time. It's more like, I want somebody who brings me this much joy in these games to have, like, to be able to pay their mortgage. Like, that'd be cool. Hold on. I'm gonna wait till I land, and I might have a weird observation.
Get better.
Oh, no, never mind.
12. How'd I end up in 12?
I haven't seen you up front with me a whole lot this session.
Yeah,
I fumbled the bag, as the kids say.
It's first place secret.
I love this.
I love the Mario Galaxy section is beautiful too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Going back to your point about culture and such, I think we're just it feels like Pixar to me in a way, where it's like there feels like a clear split between when it was
targeting us.
and targeting our kids.
I would say
I'm not saying that there isn't like the good Pixar lessons and experiences. Inside Out, still,
as powerful as
anything else Pixar has done. But then you think, I don't know. I have been less enthused about the recent slate of Pixar, and
They lost
my
some viewers,
conclude.
I think for them is like that's more of the issue is they're just afraid the current leadership and storytellers.
That might be the case, but it also it has felt like okay, you're still going to enjoy these, but these lessons are really going to be closer to what maybe your kids might
feel something
more deeply for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Marvel, post Endgame, I've, my conclusion has been this stuff's no longer for me. And that, and at some point, it's like, and that's okay, has to be the end in the sentence of that. But
for that was just because they're starting filming movies when they didn't have finished scripts. Like it wasn't because they were making it for other people; it's because they were just making bad movies.
that is true. That is true. Yeah. So that might be more of a me problem than a that thing problem.
It's okay to not like bad movies. I don't think that's. I wouldn't call it a you problem. They should make better movies.
Yeah, but also it's I don't see myself jumping back on that train. I don't know.
Me either. I think we could maybe one more race, then one more knockout.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
We'll close it with that.
So hopefully do one more Rainbow Road and then a knockout. So I think it makes us do 3, or I guess I could quit.
So
besides Mario Kart, what have you been playing on Switch 2?
Call of the Lamb, actually. I have to re-invite you.
Okay.
Exited it out. That's one of my favorite indie games of the past. I guess it's probably close to 2 years old at this point. And it runs so quick and smooth on Switch 2. So, oh, it does. It's so much fun, and like they added multiplayer to it. This past at the beginning of the last year, and it runs, the multiplayer is so much better on the Switch 2, just because there's not like the lag of the input and stuff that we would get on the Switch version.
That was distinctly. I reviewed that game, and I wasn't terribly kind to it, and the performance was a big part of it. It was a struggle bus to play.
Yeah, Switch version for sure. I haven't played any other version, but there was a lot of just it wasn't there. it wasn't there. There's not really any way around it.
No.
I guess I was a little more willing to look past it because it wasn't like an EA title or something.
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah. There are certain
points where I sort of get to my final straw, and it doesn't help that I'm not big into those style of games. Like
yeah. And if it's
really, really great, or there's something that really grabs me, I can do fine with it. But I don't know. The formula just wasn't there for me.
See, I was big. I love the music and the visuals of that game. Like, I don't know. I think I've told you this too. I never review based off like a set scale. I'm just like I'm all about the vibes, baby. Whenever I decide if a game's good or not, which is not a great way to probably review things for people if they want advice, but this is how I roll with it.
No, that I go through that too.
Sometimes that is enough. And Cult of the Lamb has character,
Yes.
and it fully commits to that character, and it's probably, to me, it's probably the best thing about it is the art direction, the personality that it has.
For sure.
Trying to think. I'm so I am also doing a channel with my buddy Carl. He has a sleep channel that is doing pretty well, and so he's added me to it. We're doing sleep content, all Pokemon.
Okay.
So I'm getting back into the Switch Pokemon games, and some I'm very excited for, others not as excited for. But I can't wait for ZA. I really, really, really am excited for ZA.
That's the next one coming out.
Yeah, I think in October.
The sequel to Arceus. Is that the one?
It's the same like style, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And which Arceus is by far probably the best Pokemon game ever. At least of the ones that aren't like the Game Boy runs.
It is the closest
I had gotten interested in one of those in a long time. We had it briefly, and I think I went about 15 hours before dropping off. But they need to find a way to adopt some of that into their mainline stuff, or at least keep that Legends series going as a separate thing.
I think, and that's the vibes I'm getting, and I could be completely fucking wrong because I'm not like hardcore Pokemon. I think that's the vibes I got from the stuff for ZA.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks better. Like, one of the biggest issues with Scarlet and Violet was like there was not any effort put into it in terms of how it looked.
Yeah.
Which was really, really frustrating. And then also not having every Pokemon in the games was also really, really just felt lazy. Like, you're make billions a year. Like, take the fucking time. Hire some people. It's not hard. You can afford it.
It should be.
Get out of the sand.
Those games, Scarlet and Violet, are fun, but they are not great. The one I like, the Sword and Shield, are by far the worst, though. I don't know if you played those.
I haven't touched a normal one since 3DS, probably.
Those ones are so, like, hand-holdy that you can literally beat the entire game without ever visiting a Pokemon Center. I think it's still the most downloaded episode of Damage Boost, was Keypad and I talking about that. I think he did a YouTube video on basically on how easy that game is to beat, and how you put zero effort and strategy into it.
There's always,
even as a kid's game, there was always a decent set of rules and challenge to it.
They were fucking hard. I played the first three generations. Those games were hard. They were straight up like you needed player's guides back then.
first figure out
How to do the Mewtwo.
food discovery. And
Oh, but that channel's called Viridian Dreams, if anybody wants to check it out.
Viridian Dreams.
Yeah, we don't have anything up yet. I think we've got 2 videos done. We're gonna try to have a pretty good backlog going before we start uploading. But yeah, it's gonna be us playing Pokemon, like similar to this, playing with a task and talking about Pokemon things.
Yeah, that's That's a good way to handle it. That's okay.
Are you still baby Luigi?
I'm always baby Luigi.
I played as I'll be Penguin. Besides Baby Luigi, I would do Penguin.
I was trying to figure out where you were actually on the map.
I'm in the back.
For the pack right now.
I've missed you this whole time.
I'm late. I'm
Getting sloppy here with my road skills.
It's a car.
All right.
That's another car.
Someone's about to take out first place for me. Perfect. I will tell you though, like we've been playing like, 4 at a time, obviously, and doing it on one controller is I do not like that. It is not. It's not great.
Using one Joy-Con.
Yeah. I have tiny hands, and it's uncomfortable for me, even with these bigger Joy-Cons.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Never great either. It's better though, right?
Yeah,
A little bit.
I think these feel almost perfect in terms of like size when you're using two.
right.
And I did not realize how small and much I actually maybe don't like the Joy-Cons now on the original ones until I played this. They're
That
tiny.
makes sense to me. Yeah, they really are. They really are. And going back to Zelda, Breath of the Wild's control scheme is cool.
It really
the way you have to claw on 2 fingers to be able to run and jump. It's nuts.
Right.
Speaking of that control scheme and like the buttons on that Switch, my oldest been busting his butt working for money because he wanted to buy his own Switch OLED.
Yeah.
Because he's got 2 brothers. Like he wants to have his own property essentially. Like, not that he can't share. He's quite good at it, but he wants to have that sense of ownership to something that he doesn't have to like set a timer on and share with another.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, and like he worked his butt off. Like he went and spread mulch with me at somebody's place for like 6 hours one day and cleaned out gutters, like just legit awful gross jobs, and worked his butt off and saved up the money. And off of GameStop's website, he got the Splatoon 3 OLED edition, which it really dope dock. It's white with the Splatoon symbol is like a neon yellowish green, and it glows in the dark. Looks really really cool.
Yeah.
The Joy-Con left is like the left or the purple ink, and the right is like the neon green ink. They got it, and all the buttons on the left Joy-Con stick. And it's so disappointed. Like, yep, that's you're one step closer to understanding what it's like to be an adult.
Yeah.
I'm glad I skipped the OLED though after playing his for a little bit. It doesn't, to me, I don't know. I don't think it would have been worth spending. Do you know how much it was when it came out, like originally brand new?
$350.
That's not awful, but I don't think it's enough of a difference. I would have been happy spending $350.
It's not bad
if it's your first Switch.
Yeah.
Like if I was deciding to buy a Switch 1 for the first time, and I was going to plan on playing a lot of handheld, I would spring for the OLED then. I'm going to trade in my old one and then get a new one for OLED. No, not really. I looked at the Switch one we have right now, and yeah, it looks fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Do you like playing like even before Switch 2? Were you a handheld mode guy? Like if you had to pick, were you like, oh, I'll do handheld?
So one of my favorite things about the Wii U was that Fisher Price feeling handheld controller with the screen on it. Yeah, I liked having handheld. I liked being able to, play a game, but be able to not have to take up the TV too, right? The original two-screen experience of having a 3DS in your hand and then having The Office on in the background.
See, I don't like handheld modes and things. I can't see shit. Like, my eyes are bad. So, especially with the Switch, and we'll do one more. But
Well, I'm gonna need to probably bounce
good,
after
okay.
this, but yeah,
We're good.
yeah.
No, I always prefer it on the TV. And it's hard for me to tell my kids not to dual screen things for their brains, and then if I'm sitting there watching something, then I have the handheld mode. So,
Oh yeah.
I always
I'm a hypocrite with that. Yeah,
that's fair, and I would be, but I got too many kids. I have 3, so I can't. It's hard to sneak away from it. But yeah, this was awesome, man. I appreciate you hanging out and playing Mario Kart with me.
Yeah, no,
thanks for connecting and taking some time. That was fun. We'll have to do it again sometime.
All right, man. Have a good night.
you too. Later.
All right.